Welcome back to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Diane. With me today is Petra Nicole. Petra, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
This is really big, important stuff, and I want people to really listen and take notes because you have a workshop, and you've written the 7 Insights for Transformation. Now, people go, no, my life's fine. Really? How really fine is it? If you're like me, the same thing keeps happening over and over and over again, and I keep blaming other things, but you're saying that maybe it's me or us.
Well, people have patterns in life.
Yes.
I mean, how many times have we met someone that says, over and over, I run into the same relationship.
Oh, right. Or the same, yeah.
The same person. I meet the same person in a different body.
Right.
That sounds familiar for most people.
Exactly. Yes.
So.
Okay, so so the premise in the beginning of your 7 Insights, you say that we have these blocks, emotional blocks. Mm-hmm. And does everyone, and that's what you help to heal, and in your 7 Insights that help people do that, they find that those same old patterns don't keep repeating themselves.
Yes, it's actually not that I heal them, people heal themselves.
Yes.
I just give them the tools.
With your assistance, yes.
That they can utilize guided meditation, where we can basically tap into what and where, what did I download from my parents, from my grandparents, from the people that raised me. Mm-hmm. And typically what we do is we absorb the aura of the people around us and we then stuff it somewhere. So if we're repeatedly told, no, you're not good enough, mm-hmm. you're not this enough or that enough, we will stuff it. It's going to come up as grief, abandonment, sorrow, sadness, anger. Anger is good. When I work with people and anger comes out, that's a good thing. So I love it.
Also, people develop defense mechanisms. Like, I'm not going to get too close because I've been burnt before. And you see, as mm-hmm. people, go through more experiences in their life, they kind of get stuck. That's what I've sort of have observed. Mm-hmm. So how do people know, like they're listening to you mm-hmm. and they're saying, well, I don't feel a block. How will they know that they do?
Well, you can watch what they do. And you can observe their lifestyle and the way that they're going about.
So what would you say to them? So they're watching you.
Well, there's anybody in the world that is in a human form will have some form of blockage.
Okay.
That's just the way that it is. We are here to learn. Earth is a schoolroom.
Yeah, sometimes it can be a schoolroom with a hard ruler too, right?
I don't know about you, but I like to tango. So this is my...
Let's have fun. Okay, so you also say something really important is that it is everyone's responsibility, individual responsibility to heal. Why?
Well, typically when things go wrong in our lives, what we do is we blame someone. Mm-hmm. We are the victim. Often we say something happened out here, so therefore I am sad or feeling grief or feeling whatever we're feeling. Mm-hmm. But the truth of it is when we do the inner work, the deep inner work that goes back to 0 to 7 years of age, when that program was set, when we tap into the program of where the grief and sorrow began, we can then realize that we are perfect, that we are lovable, that we are these beautiful children. And there is a passage in the Bible that says, it is through the one about the rich man not entering the kingdom of heaven, mm-hmm. and then there's a one, unless you become like children, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. And that's what that means.
Yes, people lose their child mm-hmm. very easily.
Yeah.
Petra, the law of attraction, one of the insights. Tell me about that.
Well, there was a movie that came out a while ago called The Secret.
Yes.
Did you see that?
No, I read the book, and I thought I was the only one in the world that didn't get much out of it.
Well, it was interesting, while it really gave a segue to people, it gave people a way to understand what law of attraction really mm-hmm, is. Mm-hmm. It didn't really help people find the tools. Because law of attraction is as you think, so you become. What you think about comes about. Isn't always true, because what it is really is what we're feeling, not what we're thinking. So a lot of people went on and started doing affirmations and you know, tuning into, if I say this 50 million times a day, then perhaps it'll happen.
So it was just in their head and a little task, either saying it or writing it or whatever, but they weren't integrating it into them, right?
Exactly. And so if you're not dealing with the emotional self, with the emotional aspect of a self, nothing really shifts, because you're still radiating out through your aura what is within you.
So you can't start with the law of attraction. You have to work on your emotional body first. And that's how you help facilitate people, right?
Correct.
In your workshop. Okay, got it.
Yes.
Okay. So after, anything else you want to say about the law of attraction?
I love when people come to the realization and have the aha moment, moment, not the ha-ha moment, but the aha moment.
Well, maybe it's both. You can go aha and ha-ha.
Aha. So when they have the aha moment of realizing that, oh my gosh, I've created my own reality. I am actually the director of my own movie.
Well, that's empowering, but it can be also maddening if you're just coming to that realization after a lot of grief.
It is.
And you know, I was going to ask you next, I think this is a good time to ask this. You talk about consciousness and unconsciousness, and a lot of people, you know, actually, I have a friend who's was doing a dating website, and she's putting our profile. She goes, I want a conscious man. And then later on, I would hear guys say, all the women on the dating site say they want a conscious man. What is that? And I think, well, I guess you're not then. No, you know, so people don't know what it is. So what is consciousness? What does that mean?
100% awareness. So what is awareness? Awareness is when every second of the day, every moment of the day, you're aware in your conscious field of what you're doing. But most of us are really run by our unconscious field. We're not really awake. The subconscious really runs the show.
So these things back in our subconscious, like let's say our parent planted something like you're never going to be able to fill in the blank, and so you don't walk around going, I'll never be able to, but your unconscious mind carries the fact that you won't, and it affects your behavior, right?
Correct. So if you've been told as a child that you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you can have 3 PhDs, and you can be one of the most famous people on the planet, and you'll still feel not good enough if you don't deal with it on an emotional level.
And that's really important to do, because then you're all, you know, you don't have that peace, that bliss, and that joy, even though you've accomplished so much.
But look at all of our rock stars that are dying.
Yeah, they are.
Look at all these amazing people that have been dying. Prince, why was he on drugs all these years? Why? Or Jimi Hendrix, or, I mean, Michael Jackson abused himself, literally.
That's so sad, but yeah. And of course, people just think, oh, it's the drug culture. We have a problem with drugs. You know, they start, you know, it's a gateway drug. But what you're saying is that they're tormented and they have some unconscious stuff. And, you know, that would be really easy to not do your work when all of a sudden you're rich and famous and you are told by the world that you're great.
Yeah.
So you
what reason would you have to do the work?
Right.
Unless you're constantly beaten down by life and you're on the ground saying, somebody please help me. And so those are the people that I usually work with. But I do it through my Reiki classes, because I've been teaching Reiki for 35 years, and so this is part of my Reiki class.
Okay, all right. So if people can go to PetraNicole.com, we're going to have that up on the screen so that they can find these 7 insights and also your event calendar. Yeah. Okay. So after I got conscious versus unconscious, and you also another insight you talk about is giving and receiving. What lesson is there in that? I know a lot of personality types who are great at giving, terrible at receiving.
I was one of them. Guilty as charged. I was in Sedona, and I went to a woman who was doing a reading for me, and she just shook her head, wouldn't even look at me, and said, people like you make me sick. I was like, what? I'm leaving. And she said, sit down, little girl. That was 30 years ago, whatnot. She said, you know, people that are sensitive, that are empaths, like myself, typically don't know how to receive very well. So she gave me exercises where I had to do tapping, EFT, emotional freedom technique, to just learn how to really receive. For example, a compliment. If someone gave me a compliment, and you say, thank you. Because you can't always give out without being able to receive and balance that account.
Okay. You know what? Let's take a break right here and come back and finish up the next 2 insights and then talk
Okay.
about your new book.
All right.
Okay. You're watching Inspired Conversations. Diane with Patron Nicole. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Judson Roy is a full-service interior design, staging, and furniture establishment. Located in the heart of Canby, Judson Roy is your complete decorating solution. Whether you're in need of furnishing a new home, updating your decor, or staging a house to sell, Judson Roy will assist you with their experienced sales and decorating staff. Be sure to look at their website, judsonroy.com.
Thank you for being with us today on Inspired Conversations. Petra and I were just talking about giving and receiving as part of one of the insights that you teach through your workshop. And I want to ask you about why is it important to have a balance between giving and receiving? Because a lot of people's ego is attached to giving. That would be the rescue personality. And they get a lot of positive feedback, and so that becomes part of their persona. Mm-hmm. Why does there need to be a balance?
And absolutely, and there has to be a balance when someone is always expecting things from someone. Mm-hmm. Give me this, give me. You know, we have a lot of the millennials that are a little bit entitled. It's like give, take. And so we're balancing this. So as you give, so you receive. When you're giving, you're receiving. So if someone's unemployed and they can't find a job, for example, the best thing they can do is to go out and volunteer. Why? Because when they're volunteering, they feel good about themselves. They feel inspired, empowered. They feel they're giving, and then the vibration changes, and then they can attract the job they love.
And what is that phrase, when you give something, it comes back tenfold or something like that? Is that what it is?
Exactly. So when you're giving, you are always receiving at least 10 times the value.
And when I'm giving of something, like a lot of people want help with some of the things that I know how to do, and it just feels really good. But also, I've learned to set boundaries around it. Now, isn't that important too?
It is, because sometimes people give too much. There's a book out called Women Who Give Too Much.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a book called You're Number One, where this is for women and men that are so in a pattern, stuck in a pattern where they're always giving.
Well, and then you feel like a victim, because at the time you're doing it because you're getting a payoff, but afterwards maybe you're depleted or you feel used. Yeah. So I can see why there needs to be a good balance. Somebody one time they phrased it as an equal exchange of energy.
That's right.
So that's good.
And I teach this to my students, and I have a little example for you.
Okay.
I have this amazing student, and she's an extraordinary hairdresser. And I canceled her twice, but she's been studying with me emotional processing, emotional energy work in Reiki, and I have taught her to stand in her power and to create boundaries. So she used me because I stood her up twice. I didn't stand her up, I called and canceled. But she called me up and said, I'm not okay with that.
Wow.
And I'm going to practice this on you, and I'm going to tell you right now that I need to have a field of importance in your life where you don't cancel me a day before your appointment.
I bet you that was so empowering to her.
I was surprised.
Yes,
in the moment, I was a little surprised because I didn't really expect it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I was celebrating. My heart was celebrating that she was able to really step into her boundaries and really show me that I have been the teacher to her that I wanted to be.
I think there are so many people that don't know how to stand up for themselves because maybe as a child, we'll go back to the blocks or the emotional wounds, they were punished for giving their opinions or standing up for themselves or talking back, it was called back in the day. Don't talk back, And so there's a lot of suffering with that because you can't. So to help someone heal that and learn that it's okay to set a boundary and to express it, But that's a skill that has to be learned, because you know, if you're the little 2-year-old whose voice hasn't been sophisticated enough, no, you can't do that to me anymore. So I'm sure.
So we throw a temper tantrum
Yeah,
when
yeah.
typically anything can be said if it's in the right words.
Yes, good.
Anything can be spoken if we choose the right words and we're not afraid to speak our truth.
Yeah, I have suffered from that myself, and I know a lot of women do, and probably men do as well. So I think that's really great. Okay, another insight is accountability. This sounds kind of heavy. What's this about?
Well, being accountable to self
Oh, okay.
and therefore to others. But how can we be truly accountable in our life if we're not accountable to self? Physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. So if you're saying you're going to do X, Y, Z, and then you never do it, and then you feel really bad about yourself, then where do we take, you know, it's this figure eight, this infinite loop that keeps going and going and going. And so we become our own worst critic.
Wow. Well, you know, that's hard. Part of that's hard for me to wrap my mind around, because I'm thinking a lot of people aren't accountable, but doesn't seem to bother them.
Oh, it does. I think on a really deep level,
Okay,
it does.
okay.
I think that they've given up
Okay.
and that they're not accountable because they have lost touch with self, with their own accountability. So when someone is not accountable in life with us as a friend, you can be guaranteed that that person is not accountable to self and that they need a lot of help.
So there's some integrity to this whole thing, too.
Yes.
If you're not accountable to yourself, you're not in your own integrity.
Correct.
And that's huge. Okay, wow. Okay, I want to talk about your new book, but before we do that, are there any parting words you want to say about the 7 Insights? How can people find this? I know PetraNicole.com will be on the screen.
Well, as it so happens, there is a workshop coming up at New Renaissance Bookshop on the 21st of May from noon to 4 p.m.
Okay.
And the ad just went out yesterday. So if you go to New Ren Bookshop, you can look on events, and there's a picture of me, and it gives a brief description. I think the workshop is only $40.
And they do want you to reserve your space?
Yes, they do.
So you can call and do that.
Yes, yes.
Very
and
good.
it'll be also
Good timing.
posted on my website as of today, so
Okay.
people can find it that
All
way, or
right.
call me, email me, text me. No, don't text me.
Don't text her. Okay, this book, The Big Secret, not The Secret, The Big Secret,
The Big Secret.
with Jack Canfield, who most everybody knows is a household name, and Petra Nicole.
Yes.
He created this soup series. What was it?
The chicken soup for the Soul series.
Chicken soup.
Yes, millions.
Yeah, I would. But every time I read it, I'd cry. Okay, so you have a chapter in here.
Correct.
And you're telling your story. So congratulations on
Thank you.
this coming out.
Thank you.
And you're probably going to be going around doing book signings
Yes.
and such. So that will be found on your website as well.
Yes.
Yeah?
So the big secret, when the title first came out, I was laughing so hard because I did actually love The Secret. I was one of those people that thought this was great because it was finally a way through to, mainstream America. And so when this title came out, I said, oh my God, this is The Big Secret. And I have a chapter in it about my experience as a child when I had my near death.
So you didn't know the title was going to be The Big...
No.
Oh, what
I
a
did not know.
surprise.
I
What a
didn't know.
secret.
It was a secret.
What a big
and,
secret.
And I am, as it so happens, going on tour with a woman, a dear, dear friend of mine, Sharon Bauer, medium, who just published her book. And I believe we'll be on your next show together.
Yes, and I just read the book, and it was delicious. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Well, you wrote the foreword, so I know you read it.
So Sharon is excited to go on tour together where she can talk to people. She's able to hear what people say from the other side.
Yes.
But I've actually crossed the veil, and that is why we're doing this
Doing it
together as a
together.
project.
Great. That's wonderful. That's good. Not only educational, but it's so healing.
So
that
healing.
book was just phenomenal, and your story as well. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
And thank you, audience for watching Inspired Conversations. Go to my website, dianetv.com. I'm so interested in hearing what you think about the show, any ideas or suggestions. Look at our sponsors, read my blogs, and get back to me. And I hope to hear from you. We'll see you next time.